Robert Wagner is a name that has been synonymous with Hollywood glamour, intrigue, and longevity for nearly a century. At 95, most people would be content to fade quietly into the background. But Wagner's life is anything but ordinary. From box office hits to high-profile romances, scandals, and personal tragedies, the story of his 95 years is one that will shock, amaze, and inspire you. He began his career in the golden age of Hollywood, when studios controlled every aspect of a star's life. Wagner wasn't just another actor. He was ambitious, charming, and determined to carve his own path. Over decades, he starred in some of cinema's most memorable films, from suspenseful thrillers to romantic comedies, earning respect from peers and admiration from fans worldwide. But success came with a price. Behind the glitz of premieres and magazine covers, Wagner navigated the darker side of fame. The constant scrutiny, the gossip columns, and the personal battles few ever saw. Romance has always been a headline in Wagner's life. His marriages, high-profile relationships, and rumored affairs made tabloid fodder for decades. Yet beneath the drama was a man capable of deep loyalty, love, and resilience. He experienced heartbreak and loss, but he also celebrated enduring friendships, mentorships, and family bonds that defined his personal world. Even now, at 95, Robert Wagner refuses to slow down. He remains active, engaged, and ever curious about the world around him. Whether sharing stories of Hollywood's golden era, reflecting on life's lessons, or continuing to explore new adventures, Wagner's vitality and spirit are remarkable and completely unexpected for someone his age. This is a life of triumphs, scandals, and resilience, a life that has witnessed the rise and fall of empires, the evolution of cinema, and the personal challenges that define human existence. At 95, Robert Wagner stands as living proof that age is more than a number. It's a story of survival, reinvention, and unshakable willpower. Robert Wagner was born on February 10, 1930, in Detroit, Michigan, at a time when the world was still grappling with the aftermath of the Great Depression. His early years were far from glamorous. Growing up in a working-class family, young Robert learned the value of hard work, resilience, and determination, long before the bright lights of Hollywood ever called his name. Those formative years instilled a quiet toughness, a drive to pursue more than ordinary circumstances, and a curiosity about the world that would later shape his legendary career. From an early age, Wagner showed signs of ambition. He was drawn to performance, to the idea of stepping into different personas and capturing the attention of an audience. While other children played freely, Wagner immersed himself in movies, studying the actors on screen, mimicking their expressions, and imagining a life beyond the familiar streets of Detroit. His fascination with Hollywood was more than a childhood crush. It was a vision of possibility that ignited a fire in his heart. By his late teens, Wagner's determination had grown into action. He enrolled in a dramatic arts program and began taking small acting roles in local theater productions. Each performance, no matter how modest, reinforced his belief that he was destined for something greater. The training was rigorous and opportunities were scarce, but Wagner's persistence and natural charisma caught the attention of talent scouts. He was not just another hopeful. He was a young man with presence, poise, and an uncanny ability to command a scene. In 1950, that ambition finally led him to Hollywood. The transition was anything but easy. The studio system ruled the industry with iron fists, controlling the careers of actors with long-term contracts and strict rules. Wagner, however, was determined to rise on his own terms. He signed with Universal Studios, initially taking on small roles, often uncredited, in films that tested both his skills and his patience. Long hours, demanding directors, and the pressure to conform could have discouraged anyone. But Wagner's resilience only grew stronger. It was during these early years that Wagner honed the qualities that would define him for decades: charm, adaptability, and a work ethic that bordered on relentless. He learned to navigate the intricate social networks of Hollywood, forming relationships that would later prove invaluable. Mentors in the industry noticed his dedication, predicting that the young actor had the potential to become a star, not just a fleeting face on the silver screen. By the mid-1950s, Wagner began landing more prominent roles, slowly but steadily making his mark. His breakout performance in Stars in My Crown demonstrated a rare ability to balance intensity with subtlety, capturing audiences and critics alike. The young actor's combination of rugged masculinity, understated charm, and screen presence began to set him apart in an era when Hollywood was flooded with talent. He was no longer just a hopeful newcomer, he was becoming a name to watch, in presence capable of carrying both the glamour and the complexity of leading roles. But fame, as Wagner would soon learn, was never simple. Early success brought attention, but it also attracted scrutiny. The very qualities that made him magnetic on screen, charisma, good looks, and a distinctive presence, made him the subject of gossip and speculation off-screen. And yet, even in the face of mounting attention and the pressures of a rapidly changing industry, Wagner remained focused on his craft, determined to build a career that would stand the test of time. By the end of the decade, Robert Wagner was no longer just a small-town dreamer. He had stepped firmly into the Hollywood spotlight, ready to navigate the glamorous, perilous, and often unpredictable world of cinema. The journey from Detroit to stardom was just the beginning, and as the years unfolded, Wagner would encounter triumphs, scandals, romances, and challenges that few could have imagined. Events that would define not only his career, but his remarkable life. By the late 1950s, Robert Wagner had transformed from a small-town dreamer into one of Hollywood's most promising leading men. The early struggles in minor roles had taught him discipline, patience, and the art of navigating an industry notorious for chewing up young actors. But it was now his time to shine, a period that would define his career and cement his name in cinematic history. Wagner's breakout role came with Stars in My Crown, where his quiet charisma and commanding presence drew attention from both audiences and critics. Unlike many actors of the era who relied solely on looks, Wagner combined charm with subtlety, projecting a depth and relatability that audiences immediately connected with. Studio executives took notice, and soon he began landing more prominent roles in films like A Kiss Before Dying and Prince Valiant, where his combination of rugged appeal and nuanced performance made him a bankable star. His success, however, wasn't just about talent. Wagner possessed a rare ability to navigate Hollywood's social complexities. He understood the delicate balance between visibility and discretion, charm and professionalism. Fellow actors often noted his innate warmth, while directors admired his capacity to adapt to different genres, from romantic comedies to suspense thrillers. This versatility ensured that he remained relevant, even as trends and audiences shifted. Romance, inevitably, became part of the story. Wagner's good looks and sophistication made him a magnet for Hollywood's most prominent actresses. Relationships with co-stars and social elites were closely followed by tabloids, and Wagner quickly learned the double-edged nature of fame. Attention could open doors, but it also invited scrutiny. His personal life became a narrative intertwined with his professional ascent, and he learned early on that charm alone was not enough to maintain privacy in a world obsessed with celebrity. Despite the pressures, Wagner remained focused on building a career that would endure. He was selective with roles, often turning down projects that didn't align with his vision or challenge him as an actor. This discernment paid off. By the 1960s, he was starring in hits like A Touch of Mink and The Longest Day, sharing the screen with some of Hollywood's most iconic figures. Each film further solidified his reputation, showcasing not only his acting range, but his ability to carry a production with understated strength. Yet even as he rose to prominence, Wagner faced unexpected challenges. The studio system, though beginning to decline, still wielded enormous influence over an actor's career. Contracts limited creative freedom, schedules were grueling, and image management was strict. Wagner, however, was no passive participant. He learned to negotiate, to assert his preferences, and to protect his personal boundaries, skills that would serve him throughout his long career. It was during this period that Wagner also became known for his professionalism on set. Co-stars and crew frequently praised his punctuality, collaborative spirit, and respect for the craft. These qualities not only enhanced his reputation, but ensured that his career had staying power, allowing him to transition from film to television when the industry began evolving in the 1970s. By the end of the 1960s, Robert Wagner had fully established himself as Hollywood royalty. He was admired for his talent, respected for his work ethic, and envied for his charisma. But even as accolades and stardom mounted, Wagner remained acutely aware that fame was fleeting and that the challenges of personal life, romance, public scrutiny, and private loss would continue to test him in ways the cameras could never capture. The stage was set for the decades to come, a life filled with dazzling triumphs, unexpected heartbreaks, and reinvention that would eventually define him not just as an actor, but as a cultural icon. At 95, Robert Wagner stands as a testament to endurance, charm, in the extraordinary journey of a man who rose from modest beginnings to Hollywood legend. By the 1970s, Robert Wagner was not only one of Hollywood's most recognizable leading men, but also a figure whose personal life drew nearly as much attention as his on-screen work. For decades, the actor's love life, romances, and high-profile relationships became tabloid gold, but behind the headlines lay a man navigating the complexities of love, loyalty, and the often brutal scrutiny of fame. A man whose personal triumphs and tragedies would shape him as much as any role he ever played. Wagner's first marriage, to actress Natalie Wood, was a union that Hollywood celebrated as a fairy tale. Together, they embodied glamour, charm, and talent. But beneath the picture-perfect image were strains that only those closest to them could fully understand. Career pressures, public attention, and personal expectations created a dynamic that was both passionate and fraught with tension. Their relationship, intensely romantic yet deeply complicated, became a central narrative of Wagner's life, enduring in public fascination even decades later. Wood's tragic death in 1981 cast a long shadow over Wagner's personal and professional world. The circumstances surrounding her passing were scrutinized relentlessly by the media, creating an atmosphere of speculation, rumor, and ongoing investigation. Wagner, despite years of public attention, remained composed, offering little comment while privately navigating grief that few could imagine. Friends and colleagues later described him as a man quietly carrying immense pain, a grief tempered by resilience and a determination to continue moving forward. Outside of heartbreak, Wagner experienced other high-profile romances that kept Hollywood buzzing. His charm, sophistication, and enduring appeal made him a sought-after figure in a town obsessed with youth and beauty. But he learned early on that public attention could be a double-edged sword. Each relationship became fodder for speculation, often overshadowing personal intimacy with the glare of cameras and gossip columns. Even as Wagner managed fame and romance, he faced personal challenges that demanded quiet strength. The pressure to maintain a public persona, to appear unshakable amid personal tragedies, required discipline, emotional intelligence, and an ability to compartmentalize. Wagner's resilience wasn't just about surviving Hollywood. It was about surviving the human consequences of life lived under a microscope. Through it all, Wagner demonstrated remarkable adaptability. While some celebrities crumble under scrutiny, he learned to navigate the dual realities of public fascination and private life. He forged friendships that provided support, cultivated personal interests outside of acting, and approached each challenge with a combination of pragmatism and dignity. These qualities not only preserved his career, but allowed him to continue reinventing himself, even as the years advanced and Hollywood's landscape evolved. By the 1980s and 1990s, Wagner had transitioned seamlessly into television, earning acclaim in series like Heart to Heart. This move wasn't just a career shift, it was a strategic decision that allowed him to continue working while maintaining a measure of control over his life. The visibility of television, combined with the stability it offered, allowed Wagner to pursue relationships and personal projects with greater intentionality, all while continuing to captivate audiences with his enduring charisma. At 95, Robert Wagner's life reads like a novel, a story of ambition, romance, loss, reinvention, and survival. His early triumphs, personal heartbreaks, and ability to navigate Hollywood's evolving landscape reflect not just talent, but an extraordinary resilience that few achieve. Fame, glamour, and heartbreak may have defined much of his public narrative, but it is Wagner's perseverance and humanity that define the man behind the headlines. In the next chapter, we'll explore his later years, continued vitality, and the surprising ways he continues to influence Hollywood and inspire new generations at 95. While many actors slow down or fade from the spotlight as they age, Robert Wagner has done the opposite, continuing to reinvent himself and maintain relevance well into his 90s. His post-70 years have been a testament not only to longevity, but to resilience, adaptability, and a determination to live life fully despite the pressures and losses he has faced. After decades of film and television success, Wagner recognized that fame alone was not enough. He needed projects that challenged him and allowed him to control his narrative. His return to television with guest roles, appearances on reality-based series, and carefully chosen acting projects demonstrated a savvy understanding of his place in the entertainment landscape. He was no longer just the young heartthrob. He had become an icon, a mentor figure, and a living link to Hollywood's golden era. Personal life continued to play a central role. Wagner's marriage to Jill St. John brought stability and companionship, offering a partnership built on mutual respect, shared history in the entertainment world, and a dedication to maintaining privacy in an era of relentless public scrutiny. Their union, enduring for decades, stands as a remarkable contrast to the tumultuous relationships often highlighted in Hollywood gossip. Wagner learned from his earlier trials, the heartbreak, the tabloid pressure, the public speculation, and used those lessons to foster a supportive, lasting relationship. Beyond romance and acting, Wagner has also embraced philanthropy and mentorship. Interviews with younger actors reveal his willingness to offer guidance, drawing on a career that spans nearly 8 decades. He shares insights about navigating fame, handling setbacks, and cultivating resilience, the very traits that have allowed him to remain active at 95. Wagner's advice is practical, but grounded in the hard-won wisdom of someone who has lived through Hollywood's highs and lows, triumphs and tragedies. Physically and mentally, Wagner continues to defy expectations. At 95, he remains active, traveling for appearances, attending events, and maintaining a rigorous daily routine. His vitality challenges stereotypes of aging, proving that determination, discipline, and a zest for life can extend far beyond what most consider the twilight years. Friends and colleagues remark not only on his energy, but on his sharpness, wit, and capacity to engage meaningfully with audiences and collaborators alike. Wagner's longevity is not merely about survival, it is about legacy. He has witnessed transformations in the film industry, the rise of new media, and shifts in public perception. Yet he has remained a constant figure who embodies dedication, charm, and professionalism. Even today, discussions of his career highlight his versatility, the breadth of his roles, and the enduring appeal that continues to captivate audiences worldwide. But perhaps the most remarkable aspect of Wagner's later years is his perspective. Fame and fortune were never enough to define him. Instead, he emphasizes relationships, mentorship, and personal fulfillment. He openly reflects on mistakes, lessons learned, and the ways life has tested him, showing a level of honesty that adds depth to the persona the public has known for decades. At 95, Robert Wagner's story is far more than the sum of box office hits, television series, or tabloid headlines. It is the story of a man who has endured, adapted, and thrived against the backdrop of one of the most demanding industries in the world. His life is a testament to talent, resilience, and the ability to remain relevant while preserving dignity and humanity. A lesson in how to navigate both the public eye and private reality with grace. Robert Wagner's life at 95 is not merely impressive. It is extraordinary, from a small-town boy with a dream to an enduring Hollywood icon. His story continues to captivate, inspire, and remind us that age, loss, and challenge are not obstacles, but opportunities for reinvention and triumph.